This is a hard one because this is Dallas. We had a chance. We played well enough. But apparently when you tell them you get close enough or good enough, that's not enough. We got to get it going.
The Commanders came up short in their trip to Dallas. We take a look back at the game tape to try and pinpoint what went wrong for Washington. Plus, the Commanders set a season high on penalties against the Cowboys. We go inside the locker room to hear how the team is handling the loss. And with the season a quarter of the way complete, we pinpoint some of the bright spots for the Commanders and where the team needs to focus on going forward. And this is Command Center. I'm Julie Donaldson, along with Logan, Paulsen, and Santana Moss. Okay, so Washington now drops their third straight, losing to the Cowboys 25-10. Santana, you were at the game. Your quick initial thoughts on this one?
It was a tough loss. I think our defense played hard again. Offensively, we got into the game, stole a little bit of that momentum and just couldn't, ride the wave long enough. So it was a tough one.
Yeah, I agree with Santana. I think this was a very winnable football game against a division opponent. Obviously, you'd like to come out with a victory here. Obviously, penalties were a huge factor, but like I said, the defense I think played very, very hard, and that's a bright spot from the game.
So we're going to get into what went wrong, what Washington needs to look at and prepare for this week as they want to be able to snap that losing streak when the Titans come to town to FedEx Field. All that's coming, but let's first take one more good look at what happened on Sunday. The team has to do this as well. We're going to get to it. So Jahan Dodson, the Commanders, looking to stop their two-game losing streak to the Cowboys. Opening drive, Cooper Rush checks down to Ezekiel Elliott. That's good for 31 yards and leads to a Dallas field goal.
Yeah, and I think this is tough because, Cole fakes the blitz. Zeke comes out late and loses him in coverage. Tough down there for Cole.
Third down, John Allen. Oh, boy, he is on a mission. Gets the sack, forces the punt.
Mama, there go that man again. Jay Allen is on a mission. You said it, Julie.
Yeah, great job.
Late in the first, CeeDee Lamb right on over the middle, 23 yards. That's kind of a tough matchup for Jamin Davis, though.
Tough matchup for Damon for sure.
2 plays later, Lamb, again, this would lead to another Cowboys field goal, and it's a 6-0 game.
Yeah, we had to stop Lamb, man. He found us a way to get open into every little hole on the field.
So let's go to the second quarter. J.D. Mckissick, he gets loose, 33-yard run. That's the longest by Washington this season.
Yeah, and I love this because this is, again, we talked about how the defense was competing. The offensive line and the receivers were competing on this down to let him get down the football field. So, again, if you're looking for bright spots, things to be excited about, that's one of them.
Same score. Carson Wentz floats one to Dodson for the TD. That is Dotson's fourth score in 4 games. Commanders take a 7-6 lead.
There go that young fella. Watch how he diced this guy up. Boom. And great throw, great catch. Great touchdown.
What a route runner, too, right?
Yeah, and the ball placement is excellent here. I think that can't be overstated.
Indeed.
We like it. We want it. We wanted more of it. We didn't because the Cowboys answer here. Rush buying time outside the pocket. He hits Michael Gallup for a 9-yard TD.
And this is where it's so difficult. When a quarterback breaks the pocket, you get bad matchups on poorer coverage players. Tough down for Cole.
First thing I said.
Late second, Wentz going deep for Dodson. Oh, no, it's Trayvon Diggs that comes down with it.
Yeah, it was basically a punt for us, man. We was going into the half. We wanted something positive. Too bad that wasn't.
So here we are, second half. Rush up top to Noah Brown. That's for 45 yards. Leads to another field goal.
Yeah, this is really tough because I think the coverage is okay here and maybe a little bit tighter by Fuller, but that's, again, the margin of error you have in these types of games.
Right.
Commanders on the move. Jonathan Williams off the right side, and that's 23 yards.
Everybody been asking for 41. When is Jay Williams going to get his chance? He showed you this weekend he needs more opportunities.
So Joey Sly attempting his first field goal of the season. He nails the 45-yarder, and it's back to a 1-score game.
Nice to see him get that done, get some points on the board for the team.
But then Lamb, once again, gets loose for a 30-yard TD reception, 22-10.
Where are the defenders? When are you going to stop this guy, man? Wide open.
He's that guy right now, I guess, huh?
He is. He's their number one. Washington trying to mount a comeback, but Wentz is sacked on third down. Commanders turn it over.
And again, these obvious passing situations have been very tough for the Commanders. Carson may have held the ball a little long there, but tough down.
Late in the fourth, this seals it. Wentz is picked off, and Washington, they drop their third straight. 25-10 is the final.
Yeah, he went out swinging.
Well, the numbers very similar in this one. Washington with an edge on the ground, rushing for a season-high 142 yards. That was going to be a focus going into the game. Nice to know that they were able to do that. The biggest discrepancy, though, well, it's penalties. Washington with a season-high 11 penalties for 136 yards compared to just 4 for 20 for Dallas.
Certain penalties are concentration, focus. Sure, it gets loud. Sure, the crowd gets into it. Sure, they're jumping the line, stuff like that. But we got to sit in there. We got to be disciplined. That's something that we as coaches got to make sure gets corrected. I mean, that was not good enough because that we hurt ourselves and took ourselves out of certain opportunities. We're early in the game. We're moving the ball, and we get a holding penalty. When those things happen, that really messes things up.
We got to build on the positives. I think we came out today, and that's a really good defense. It's a really good front. Hats off to them. But I thought the way we kind of established the line of scrimmage a little bit early on, I think is things we can build on. I think try not to think the sky's falling or the world's ending or anything crazy. Like what did we do well? How do we build on those? And we got to clean up the small mistakes, the details that in a game like this they come back to bite you pretty quick.
It's really easy to be down and out for a good reason, but Carson does say there were some good things that happened. It's time now for our mission debrief brought to you by the Washington Times. But unfortunately, anything good that they had going, it was negated by a penalty, and it was just penalty after penalty. 11 for 136. It's hard to win a game when you're marching backwards. They would have had 2 interceptions if not for the penalties that are called back. They couldn't get first downs after them. How do you limit those, Logan?
I think you can see Ron's frustration there. I think you can feel kind of his emotion when you have all these self-inflicted wounds. And the only way I know how to fix it, Tana, Julie, is to practice more. Practice the things you don't want to get called, right? Understand the officiating crew, understand what they're looking for. When other teams I was with, we'd get debriefs on the officials and plays they like to call in terms of penalties. So again, those are all things you can do to help kind of mitigate some of that. But again, you just got to kind of hold yourself to a higher standard, especially when you're not winning games like they're having a hard time doing right now.
Just be a pro. Calm down. I think one of the things that will make any guy or any head coach feel the way Ron felt after that game, just knowing that, hey, we prepared to go out there and be a part of these moments. Calm down and do your job. If you're confident about your job, you don't get caught in them situations. And then too many times I saw our DBs being in a situation where they panicked because they wasn't confident about what they was doing at that particular time. So just got to man up, man. Be confident and know what your assignment is and do your job.
It's a part of the game, right? You're going to get calls that you don't think are fair, calls that you think you should have been had for you aren't going to be called. There's not much you can really do about that in the game. You just have to keep going out there and fighting through it, as frustrating as it may be. Now, going into it, they knew that they had to try and adjust the game plan. They wanted to run the ball. They did that very effectively.
Yeah.
That's something to take a positive off of.
I definitely think that's a huge positive. And it's not just the offensive line, it's the receivers. As guys were competing, physical football across the board. Guys kept going to bat for each other, and you love to see that as a coach when you're looking for things to kind of coach off and build off of. Guys' effort was there. Yeah. And I think that's super important. It showed up in the run game for sure.
You like to see that. You had Jonathan Williams, J.D. Mckissick, Antonio Gibson, each had over 40 yards rushing. But when you want to get to the passing game, Santana, it seemed like even if there was somewhat of a clean pocket or whatever, it's not clicking yet with Carson.
Yeah, a couple of things that came to mind with me when I'm watching Carson, in our passing game. At times it seemed like, okay, the offensive line just getting beat. And then some of the times it's like Carson can't even trust. He's not trusting those guys in front. He's not stepping up in the pocket. So I think they have to make sure that they pay close attention to that in the film room and know that, hey, you know what, maybe we may have to bring an extra guy in and, and simplify things a little bit in the passing game. But whatever we do, we have to solve what's going on because we have to be able to do both of them. Our run game gave us a chance yesterday, and the pass game wasn't effective enough for us to win.
It's part of what they say is you have to play complementary football if you really want to be successful. You can't just have one area doing all the work. Defensively, there were times where you go, okay, they limit them to having to kick a field goal and not getting into the end zone, and those things to say you hang your hat on, but they still at times gave up big plays.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think when I look at the effort of this group and the way they're competing with each other, there's a lot of very, very positive things to take away from it. I think that's awesome. But you mentioned the penalties, you mentioned the kind of the self-inflicted wounds. You got to stop some of that stuff, right? The penalties specifically, taking 2 turnovers off the board. Again, some of that's technique, some of that's trusting yourself, trusting you're in the right position and playing with confidence. So again, need more of that moving forward.
And you knew you were going up against a 2-headed rushing monster that could do really well. They limited them to just 2 yards per carry, which is really great. But they did give up 4 plays of 20-plus yards. So plenty of work to be done this week. Coming up, Washington's defense, they did hold up strong against the run in Dallas. We're going to send Logan and Santana into the film room to really kind of show you why that worked for them and what they can build off going forward. Plus, a little bit later in the show, we take a look at where the team stands through 4 games and what areas they need to focus on going forward.
like you said, a quarter of the way. I mean, again, we got to get going. Things got to happen. We got to make some positive things happen. You got opportunities. You got to take advantage of them. This was an opportunity I thought we could have done a little bit better.
Well, the NFL is all about making the most of your opportunities. And while Washington did not come back from Dallas with the results that they wanted or a win, on defense, there were some positives to take from this, especially when you talk about what they did against the run. The Commanders held Dallas to just 2 rushing first downs. That's the best that they've done in that situation since 2012. So for more positives on defense, we send Logan and Santana into the film room.
Thanks so much, Julie. Tana, obviously after the game yesterday, you kind of feel sick to your stomach, right? I felt sick all night last night. Then I got the all-22 this morning, and I was like, you know what? This defensive group played hard, physical football, and they competed down in, down out. Now let's take a look at a couple plays as to why I think that, right? So the offense is running like a weak play, right? Double team here up to there, double team here to there, and cut off on the backside. And they've got a fullback who's really an offensive lineman leading up on Forrest. This is good defensive structure. They got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 guys in the box to match Dallas's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 guys in the box. This is sound defensive football when it comes to stopping the run. Now, you got to execute it, right? Yeah. You got to play physical football. Let's take a look at our guy here, Forrest, and he's got the worst mismatch of the day, right? He's got to take on an offensive lineman, and this is some nice physicality, tremendous courage, saying, "What's up, dude?" Yeah. And he's the guy that constricts this running lane, right? They want to run the ball right here. But because it's so tight, because he takes the air out of it, there's no place for the back to go, and it forces the back to cut back into the teeth of this, right? Instead of being able to keep it out nice right here, he's got to cut it in downhill, and look at the meat in here. Look at all these bodies under here saying, we have you protected inside, and you can't run the football here. Love to see that. Again, guys just doing their job. Let's point out Cole, Jamin does a great job here. Cam does a great job. They all do such a nice job taking on blocks, being physical, throwing guys to the ground, and then Cam just doing your job. It would have been so easy for him to say, oh, the run's going here. Let me go over here and see if I can make a tackle. No, stays home, and then Tan, he's one of your favorite players. Yeah. I love it when I see safeties hit big backs hard and say, nope, get out of here. Then hats to the football, man. Hats to the football. Love the energy. Love the passion that they're playing with here.
Guy for a guy doing their job. One of the things about the run game and as well as about the football game as a whole is you win in the trenches. You see our guys in the trenches winning on this play. And
it's great, man. The physicality, the desire they're playing with, you love it. Now let's go to the next clip, Tana, because there was just so many clips. It was hard to pick just 4, right? So let's take a look. This is, again, we just talked about good defensive football. They got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 guys in the box. They have more blockers. They have enough blockers for our surface. So the back here in this look is extra, right? So there's going to need to be a Herculean effort here from these guys. Dallas recognized it. You see him here? He's killing it. He's moving his hands around. He's basically saying, we're in a pass. We're going to get to a run. That's, again, they know it. We know it. Yeah. Now what do we got to do? They're going to run a pop play here, double team here, back to Cole, kick out here, pull there. Look, they have a guy for everybody in the front, and the back is unaccounted for. He's going to be one-on-one with a guy 10 yards down the field. Yeah. That seems like bad ball, but you need great execution. So let's take a look at this guy. He does an excellent job here. Let's take a look at James, right? They do a great job. We talked about constricting running lanes. They do a great job constricting running lanes on the front side. And then our guy, Jamin. So let's take a look at the constriction real quick. Excellent job here. Fast forward. Bow. Nice tight hole there. And then Jamin has to come up, and he's got the tough matchup. The guard's coming to kick him out. That guy weighs 350 pounds. Watch this pop. Bow. Get out of here. And then hats to the football, right? Guys trying to make tackles. Love it. Love it. Look at Cole, man, getting on that pile. It's outstanding to see guys execute that level.
Everybody getting after the ball.
Everyone's getting after the ball, man. You don't get to do that on offense, right? But on defense, they get to do it, which you love to see, right? And again, sometimes it takes good team defense, and sometimes it takes one guy making a great play, right? And I say one guy, but James does a nice job here constricting too. But watch your guy Payne here. Slipping inside, looking like a receiver, releasing on the route there a little bit, man.
Real agile right there. You see them hips. Watch these hips,
look at him dip that shoulder, get in there, and then, again, it's a great play by him, but I also want to point out James here because he makes it so the back can't bounce it outside. Look at him constrict this running lane, hit this guard in the teeth, and say, look at there's no space for this back to go. And again, Great job by Payne.
Man, I wish, effort like this would have, added up to a win, but you have to make do with what these guys have been doing, because the defense for 3 weeks in a row, I believe, have been playing with this kind of intensity. And that's why I keep saying that offensively we have to match that. But I love to see what these guys are doing, and I'm hoping that they can continue that effort.
And me too, man. It gives me something to be excited about, especially with Tennessee coming to town. Let's stop the run this next week.
Thank you, guys. Now coming up, Commanders rookie Jahan Dodson. He continues his impressive start to his NFL career. We're going to take a look at Sunday's top performers when we return. We're back on Command Center, and we're going to take one more look at Washington's loss in Dallas and focus in on Jahan Dodson. Second quarter's Carson Wentz gets to the rookie for the 4th time this season, and it's a 7-6 lead.
Oh, phenomenal grab. Great throw by Carson, man. This kid right here is playing well beyond his years.
Not so much a rookie, right? But it was mostly Dallas after that. 4th quarter, Cooper Rush, 30-yard strike to CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah, tough getting a guy that wide open. In the fringe red zone, you got to have tighter coverage, tighter windows. Need to get that done there.
Yeah, Carson Wentz trying to lead a comeback, but it's not going to happen. He's intercepted for the 2nd time on the afternoon. Washington falls to 1-3 after the 25-10 loss. So let's take a look at some of the performers from Sunday. A bright spot, Antonio Gibson passed the 2,000-yard mark for his career, becoming the 4th player in franchise history to rush for that number in their first 3 seasons.
Yeah, hats off to AG, man. We knew this guy was going to be somebody that we had to lean on this year, and he's showing us why.
And defensive tackle Jonathan Allen recorded a career-high 4 tackles for loss to go along with the sack.
You know what's crazy? His 4 tackles for loss is a great number, but he was even more productive than that. He had an outstanding game against Dallas.
And receiver Jahan Dodson had his 4th touchdown of the year, the 2nd most receiving touchdowns by a rookie through 4 games in franchise history, only one behind Charlie Brown's 5 TDs at 1982.
Just keep impressing us week in and week out, setting the bar high. Man, what a rookie.
Let's just hope he stays healthy. After the game, Coach Ron Rivera joined London Fletcher and myself on our post-game live show to discuss the rookie's play.
We were able to see Jahan Dodson and make that really incredible catch there for a touchdown this game, but that's just the 2nd touchdown now in 2 games. What do we need to do with the offense? Because we know that they do have that explosive playmaking ability.
Well, first of all, we can't go backwards. When you get yourself into a position where you can score, you can't go backwards. You can't have an illegal procedure. You can't have a holding call. And again, that's discipline. That's focusing in on your job.
Overall, how would you assess the play of Carson Wentz?
Well, I think there's some room for improvement. I do think there are some things that he did were good, and I think that's important. I think, we'll take the good, we'll work on that, continue to get better at it, and the things that we struggle with, we'll try and correct.
Sadiq Charles, he came into the ball game, I think early in the first quarter, and he really did some good things. I thought the offensive line in general, Nick Martin has some really good blocks. The offensive line was just moving Dallas Cowboys defenders out of the way in the run game. That's one of the encouraging things you come out of this ball game with the play of the offensive line in general, especially from a run blocking standpoint?
Absolutely. I mean, again, it's a little bit of the identity. I mean, last year we were able to run the ball successfully. We had a 1,000-yard rusher, and I don't see why we can't do that again this year. I think running is a big part of our identity. It can be a big part of what we want to do as a football team.
So here we are now a quarter of the way through the season, and it's 1-3. Now, we know that historically, head coach Ron Rivera, his teams kind of get hot a little bit later in the season, so all's not lost right now. Like, we've shown that there's things you can turn it around, but Santana, that look on your face is, if you're going to be able to dominate the NFC East, you've got to be able to win these games, and they're already find themselves, unfortunately, in a spot that's going to be hard to climb out of.
Definitely, and one of the things I don't like to do is always trying to find a bright spot, because right now, it seems like we're searching, but one of the things I've always said that it's not over until it's over. So these guys still have a ton of games to play, and hopefully they can make, amends when it comes to this 2nd quarter. That's one of the things I always did. I broke it down in quarters. Right now, we under 500 in the 1st quarter. The 2nd quarter needs to be something that we go out, and start off fast.
Yeah, and I think if you're looking for something to be optimistic about, the fact that the team is still playing hard. Like when you look around the league, there's bad teams playing bad football, and they're not playing hard. And you can tell those coaches have lost those locker rooms already. Yeah. It's 4 games in the season. That's not the case here. So I think that's important. Right now, it's just about can the execution match the effort? And that's always a tough thing to do as a coach, but at least the effort's there, and you have to coach that up.
So let's go into some of those guys giving the effort up there. Who is the one that maybe kind of surprises you the most? Because there's a lot of times in the offseason we see what's going on in training camp, and you go, okay, sure, this is camp. camp, but let's see how it actually translates when you get into the game.
I think the biggest surprise for me would be Jahan Dawson. I say that because, we all know he's our first-round draft pick. He's one of those guys, when I watch him, he check off all the boxes when it comes to, skill set. This guy can run routes, catch the ball, and he can just run. That's what you want to see in a wide receiver. He can play football. But when you have a guy on your team like Terry and Curtis Samuels, you didn't think that he would be here and make such of an impact, so quickly. So I think he stands out the most right now, just seeing what he can do within 4 weeks already being a rookie.
Yeah, and for me, it's Benjamin St. Juste. I mean, after last week's performance, he might be the best cover corner on the team. And having a guy like that on the roster that can play outside, play inside, use the length, tremendous foot speed, playing with excellent vision to the quarterback, and breaking up contested catches using that size. I mean, that is a valuable, valuable tool. And everyone knew he was having a great training camp and OTA period, but to see him do it against some of the best receivers in the NFL, the A.J. Browns, the C.D. Lambs, that is a special football player, and I'm just so excited to see him continue to grow.
All right, so we've gone over the tape from this game. When is it that Washington needs to say, okay, here's practice, here's how we get back into the win column? What's got to be the focus this week?
I think for me, it kind of all centers around the offense. I think the defense has played well enough the last 2 weeks to help you win these games, and I think the thing that sticks out to me is just formational diversity, personnel diversity, and making sure that all that stuff marries together. You ran the ball really well, but you seem to be running the ball in certain situations, in certain formations, and then throwing the ball in others, right? So can we match those up a little bit and help kind of make it harder for the defense to get a read on what you're doing?
Yeah, and I'm going to keep it with the offense, too. I'm going to say the offensive line. I think one of the things that we need to do, we really need to have a gut check with ourselves and be real. Because if we want to say that, okay, we can bring more tight ends in the game and help these guys out, or go out there and replace some of these guys. Make sure there's somebody. It's a guy or two that I know that's out there on the streets that could come in and help us. So we might have to do that. I mean, we need help. So I sit here and just keep talking about the same thing week in and week out.
Okay, well, the NFL, it comes at you fast. There's another game coming up quickly. We'll be back here again next time to see how the team's moving forward. Thanks for joining us on Command Center.